Today I'm going to be ranking every single story in each of the Terror Tales at the Park episodes in regular show from worst to best. There are 19 total stories throughout all of the Terror Tales at the Park, that's 6 episodes, and there are some really bad stories and some really good stories, so I figured why not rank them all from worst to best. The Halloween episodes are obviously some of the best episodes in the entire series, and they deserve their time in the spotlight. And I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers, so make sure you just lift that arm up a little bit, press that button, and subscribe for more cartoon, gaming, movie, just all that good content, because I know you want to be along for the ride. And without further ado, let's rank all of these horror episodes. And starting off this list at 19 from Terror Tales in the Park 4 is the story The Hole, told by Pops. And in this story, the park has been overtaken by this mysterious fog. I don't know why it's there, they don't know why it's there, but the fog is here, and it's all because of this hole that is in the middle of the forest. The park now has a really big, desolate forest for some reason. I don't understand any of it all, but there is this hole there, and it has to be fed people. It needs souls, or else the fog is going to bring monsters, stuff that's going to kill them all, and they've already fed it Thomas and High Five Ghost, and they have to do the raffle to determine who is going to be next, who is going to be eaten by this weird-looking hole.
Well, 2 more left.
Pops is right! We don't need to do this!
Rigby.
Whew. Sucks to be you, Pops.
Chosen one that's going to be eaten by this hole is Pops. Yippee! Pops does not like this. He decides that he's going to run away. He doesn't want to stick to this tradition. He just can't handle it. And they eventually track him down. He falls into their trap, literally going in a net. And they're going to feed him to the hole. And Pops begs for just 1 minute to say his piece, to say why this shouldn't happen. And he just spills it all out, how we're friends, how we've turned to monsters, throwing our friends into this pit. What have we become?
Times before the hole. Pops, I think I speak for us all when I say, get in the hole!
And Benson just shoves him in there anyway, but because of, Pop's Mondo Cabezzo, his really big noggin, he blocks the hole, and yeah, the hole suffocates and dies.
Huh. Well, I guess I could...
And that's basically the entire episode. The reason this one ranks the lowest is because I just found it to be really boring compared to all of the other tales and all of the other Terror Tales at the parks, because there's just not a lot that happens. Like, the only joke is at the end of the tale, where they basically are all like, yeah, so the fog was actually just in our heads the entire time, and we could have left at any moment. We didn't have to feed all of our friends. I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, well, this is actually kind of embarrassing, but, we were able to leave the park and nothing bad happened.
Turns out the fog was all in our minds.
But everything else was just really just meh. Like, basically nothing happens. Pops runs away, they shove him in the hole dies, that's it. Nothing crazy happens. It's the most regular Terror Tale that there could possibly be. At 18 from Terror Tales in the Park 5 is Chocolate Witch, and this one has a very interesting precursor to the story, because you know how sometimes they have like these stories going into the stories about like how they're going to tell the stories, and this involves Racky the Wishmaster, one of those like fortune teller machines that you put a coin into and it'll tell you your fortune. But in this case, Racky is a just wishmaster that shows you your wishes in super horrifying ways, and this is Rigby's wish, where he wants to be super popular. And I really like the beginning of this, where it just shows like a 10-second clip of Rigby being liked by his peers, and then he's like, I'm done.
Why, thank you, Mario. That was cool.
And then he's just like, no, you have to see the entire wish, please, Mr. Rigby. And they go back into it, and Rigby and Mordecai are trick-or-treating on Halloween night, and they're getting bullied because their costume, one, Rigby didn't paint it all, and it looks like a fart box or something, and Mordecai is wearing a lot of layers on a cold night. Not that big of a deal, but whatever, the jerks are being jerks, and they dare Mordecai and Rigby to go up to this spooky-looking house and take a piece of candy, and they decide, well, we're gonna do this, we're gonna look cool, and they decide to take the entire bowl, even though there wasn't a sign that says take one. If there's no sign that says take one, you might as well take it all. I mean, come on, you're just helping them out at that point. They clearly don't want the candy, so they do that, and this scary looking green witch just grabs them, throws them in the house, and is like, you want some candy? You need more than one piece? and like just like throws like chocolate fleshy looking things, like they look like limbs on the table,
Like a zombie eats his brother.
Okay.
and starts feeding them some chocolate, and they're really enjoying it. The witch is kind of a highlight here, kind of the only highlight of this entire tale, because she's just sitting there like making chocolate puns the entire time. And they're eating this chocolate, you know, commenting how it looks like limbs. That doesn't bother them very much because it's just so tasty. And Mordecai literally starts turning into chocolate. He's freaking out. The witch throws him in a machine, chops him up into super little bits and pieces. Rigby tries to run away, and he gets all the way out of the house, but it's too late. He's already turning into some chocolate. A bunch of his peers, all of the kids around him, watch this happening, and they just start eating him.
Chocolate. What's that? Hey, Rigby's chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah. They just start consuming his chocolate flesh, even though he was clearly just a person, and saying how tasty and how yummy he is. Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know if I saw a kid just start turning into chocolate on Halloween night, my initial thought wouldn't be to go over and start eating him, but that's regular show for you. And this story was just kind of lacking to me. I feel like there was a lot of better stories out of all of these episodes. There just wasn't a lot that happened. I mean, they get made fun of, they get turned into chocolate, and that's it. There just wasn't a whole lot to it. There are some funny moments, though. I mean, Rigby getting eaten by his friends is pretty funny, but that's why it's number 18. At 17 from Terror Tales 2 is Party Bus, and you might get mad at me for this one. This might be your favorite Terror Tale in the entire series. I really just don't like it that much. It follows the premise of stupid-ass Margaret calling Mordecai and telling a story. Yes, the Margaret hate will just never end. I hate her so much as a character. Maybe that's why I hate her story a little bit. But either way, she's telling a story about how they're all going to the movies, and they call a cab to get there because they can't borrow the cart, and this cab shows up as a literal party bus, and they hop on the party bus. Everybody's there with some white wigs, just partying it up. They start having a good time partying on their way to the movies, and yeah, they're just having a really good time until they realize that they're passing the movie theater. Oh no, what are we gonna do? So they go over and try to tell the bus driver about it, and yeah, he doesn't really listen to anything, and they start noticing that everybody around them is just getting really progressively older and older and older, and they all just start vanishing into dust.
You don't look so good, man.
Yeah, how long have you been here?
15 minutes.
And so Margaret, Eileen, Mordecai, and Rigby realize that they need to get off this bus right now. They run over to the bus driver, and he's all like, the party's just getting started. You can't stop the party bus. And then turns into a skeleton, and they throw him out of the way, and they're just aging super rapidly. They got to figure out something to do. And Mordecai grabs that handle, puts it in reverse. They start going backwards, but that makes them age like less, and they just become younger and younger and younger until they become babies, and they just literally disappear into thin air. And
We did it! We got off the party bus!
yeah, that's the entire Terror Tale. There's some things I like about it. I mean, when it's just like that SpongeBob zoom in on those old people that are just sitting there when they're questioning why people look so old on this bus. I thought that was kind of funny.
Are they all right?
Oh, yeah, they're cool. Just partied a little too hard, I guess.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a really average tale. There's really nothing that I liked about it, like way too much. It's just pretty average. I still found it entertaining, but there just wasn't a whole lot that I liked about it. At 16 from Terror Tales 5 is Mr. Bossman, and this is just kind of a worser version of Creepy Doll, another story that we're going to be talking about later in this video, because it also uses a doll, except this one is a ventriloquist dummy, and it's just kind of lame, I guess. It's also coming from Racky the Wishmaster, except it's Benson making a wish, and he wishes that he could motivate Mordecai and Rigby to do their jobs better. And to do this, for some reason, he gets a little ventriloquist dummy named Mr. Bossman and starts making him talk, or I guess Mr. Bossman is talking, I can't really tell, but he just starts saying very mean things to Mordecai and Rigby about doing their jobs. He even roasts Mordecai for not having a girlfriend.
Explains why you can't hold on to a relationship.
Wait, what?
It's just really messed up. But either way, Mr. Bossman being a menace, and Mordecai and Rigby just feel so creeped out and awkward about this ventriloquist dummy talking to them that they actually start doing their job, albeit very scared the entire time. And eventually Benson goes home to his apartment with the doll, and the doll starts whispering things into his ear, saying how he's the boss and Benson needs to leave town and stuff, and how Mr. Bossman's gonna take over.
When you wake up, you should pack up your bags and leave. Never come back!
And Benson wakes up and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I need to feed my family too. I need to feed my family. I gotta put food on the table. And it actually pans over to Mr. Bossman's family, which I thought was really funny. And
I'm the one motivating the workers. I gotta support my family.
and Benson like has to run away from Mr. Bossman, and he's just very unthreatening this entire time. Benson is running away from Mr. Bossman, and luckily on this specific night at the park, at the house, Mordecai and Rigby are playing with a salad guillotine. Yeah, for some reason that's very convenient, just sitting there chopping lettuce with no intention to actually eat the lettuce. Very Mordecai and Rigby-esque. But either way, Benson shows up, Mr. Bossman is there, and they just start kicking Mr. Bossman, but for some reason their kicks do nothing to this little tiny dummy. Either way, he's choking out Benson, and they're all like, throw him in to the guillotine. Benson launches him, and he goes into the guillotine, and they chop his head off, and boom shakalaka, Mr. Bossman is dead.
You don't have the chimichangas
Of lettuce!
I'll take your place. I'll do it.
And boom, that's the entire tale. I just felt like everything was very unthreatening throughout this entire tale. I know most of these are supposed to have comedy. I like when they have comedy, but Mr. Bossman, like Benson just kicks him to run away from him, and then he just hucks him into that salad guillotine like he's nothing, and that's about it. There just wasn't a whole lot to it. Mr. Bossman, I felt like should have went a little bit different. He just was nothing like Percy from Creepy Doll, which again we'll talk about later. He was just a terrible rehashing compared to that, and I just didn't enjoy this tale that much. There's still plenty of good moments. Mr. Bossman is funny. The way he roasts Mordecai is funny. The stuff with his family was really funny. The things he says are just quite comical, but overall it was just meh. And at 15 from Terror Tales 6 is Alien Roommate, and we surprisingly have our first one from space on here. I thought the space ones would be even lower on the list, but hey, they're actually surprisingly not that bad. And in this one, everybody in the park, the Space Dome, is really broke, and they have to find a way to get all that money, so they decide they have a vacant room. They're gonna get a roommate. They do a bunch of interviews with a bunch of really creepy people, like a pregnant spider.
Do you have a lot of guests over?
I mean, we're not opposed to visitors.
It's just that we have a lot of people in the house already, so...
I'm pregnant. Which
A really weird looking lady who actually seems quite delightful, but she just talks very weird.
Kind of activities do you enjoy? Who knew there were so many ways to be unacceptable?
And then we eventually get to Sharon, the alien who doesn't really talk at all, but has a lot of money. And they decide, well, it's worth it.
Do you, like, play the bassoon in the middle of the night or anything?
Can you pay the rent?
Let's just invite this weird looking alien lady into our home because she's got wads of cash. And she turns out to just be a complete and utterly horrible roommate, just like taking advantage of them, only sitting around and watching Carter and Briggs, not doing anything on the chore wheel, not being productive, not being helpful.
But it wasn't.
So they gotta get rid of her, and they, ask her politely to leave, and Sharon refuses because she's not about that life, starts causing a little bit of chaos. When they ask her to leave, she literally murders our robot, and then they have to come up with a super unique plan to get rid of Sharon fully, and they chase her all the way down by stealing the TV and chase her with flamethrowers. And I kind of felt bad for Sharon a little bit, even though she honestly deserved it because she was a horrible roommate, but that doesn't mean that she deserves to die per se. But either way, they bring her all the way to the space lock, and they're gonna launch her out into space, but luckily for her, she spit acid on the control panel, and she's not getting launched into space. And then Muscle Man is in a giant suit with arms on it, jumps at Sharon, takes Sharon out, and Muscle Man dies along with Sharon in the vacuum of space. Very tragic for them both. Very sad death.
let me show you the door!
Muscle Man!
I didn't have time to think this all the way through!
Overall, this one was fine. I found the interviewing all of the aliens to be pretty funny. Some of the silly shenanigans with Sharon were a little bit funny. And then the ending where they decide they need 2 new roommates because Muscle Man is dead and Sharon is gone. And they actually get the pregnant spider and the weird looking talking lady, and they're vibing with them. And Rigby's just like, you're going to be a great mother. And yeah, I wouldn't say this one is bad, but it's definitely not one of the best.
You're gonna be a great mom.
At 15 from Terror Tales 4 is Unfinished Business, and this one starts off with Mordecai and Rigby are dead. Benson's giving them a beautiful obituary, talking them up, saying how they were his friends and they should have just done their work. But Muscle Man and Skips remind Benson of a little something, that if he didn't fire them, then they still are employed to the park. So Mordecai and Rigby are haunting the house. And
Had you personally dig their graves?
Ugh, look at the house.
That's just the wind.
Mordecai and Rigby have unfinished business.
it's up to Benson to go in there and fire them to get rid of their souls once and for all. And I actually like this one a lot. I really like the premise of Benson just keep trying to fire them over and over again, and he just basically craps his pants the entire time because he's just terrified he can't do it because they just keep jump scaring him every single time he tries. And they're actually pretty terrifying. I mean, it's obviously a tame terrifying because, I mean, it's a regular show, but they do some scary jump scares. They get Benson a couple of times, and Benson is eventually able to fire them, but it doesn't work for some reason. And Maylard reminds Benson that an employee is not fired until you delete their profile off of the database. So he goes there and he goes all the way to the computer, just trying to avoid getting scared the best he can, and he eventually gets there trying to delete it until his soul gets sucked back into his body, and Mordecai and Rigby reveal that it was actually Benson who died. I thought that was kind of funny, but also really weird, and Benson had actually been the one haunting the house the entire time. And
Benson, look at this map!
he was the one who died, and it was just really weird. That kind of took me out of it a little bit. I probably would have ranked it higher if they just stuck with the initial story instead of doing the twist. And I know it's supposed to be a really horrible twist. That's even the joke at the end. It's supposed to be a joke of how bad that twist was, but I honestly would have preferred the story as is, with it just ending with Benson deleting their profiles and just like, yeah, and then, like, I don't know, he falls down the stairs and dies right after, and he's just back with Mordecai and Rigby. That could have been a way cooler ending, I feel like. I don't know, the ending just kind of threw me off a little bit. That's why it ranks at 15. At 13 from Terror Tales 3 is Killer Bed, and Rigby finally decides to get rid of that stupid-ass trampoline, move himself all the way up to the big leagues, become a big boy, and get a real man's bed. Good for him, he's hyped about it. He gets Skips to help him build it and everything. He lays down, puts his ass in that cushion, and he's like, oh, this is what it's like to be a king. Turns on that TV, is viewing it, and on the news, they're talking about his brand of bed, and what could possibly be wrong with his bed? What's wrong with it? Why are they recalling it? Because, well, could it be a faulty screw? Maybe one of the legs is broken? No, it's nothing like that. A serial killer named Johnny Allen Wrench fell inside the bed maker and fused with the bed, and it turns out to be Rigby's bed, and the bed starts swallowing Rigby whole.
Can't really make it out. It's in 8 and 8.
Mordecai runs up there to figure out what's going on with Rigby. Why is he just being a baby? Is he just trying to lure everybody in so that he could show them his awesome bed? And no, he's literally being suffocated by this bed because this bed is Johnny Allen Wrench, a serial killer. And he has Rigby by the throat, holding an Allen wrench to him. Everybody's there, and this is where it just gets kind of sad. Benson offers Johnny Allen Wrench a way out. Johnny Allen Wrench, he kind of deserves what he has coming to him, but he gets offered a way out, a job, a new beginning.
You do that for old Johnny Allen Wrench?
Yeah, you won't have to run anymore.
Is holding that wrench to Rigby's throat, and he lets him go. Johnny Allen Wrench is ready to start anew, to be a better man, a good man, because Benson offers him a job at the park. And we cut to Johnny just smile on his face, watering those flowers, happy as can be. And everybody in the park just says now and charges him with axes and murders Johnny Allen Wrench. A fate that is fair for a serial killer, but for a man that was just promised a brand new beginning and was just watering flowers, you can't help to feel a little bit bad for him. And yeah, this one ranks at 13 just because I found the entire premise of a man being turned into a bed to be really funny, and of course it was Rigby's bed. And that ending, although you feel bad for Johnny Allen Wrench, it's just so funny. And at 12 from Terror Tales 2 is Payback, and in this, it starts off with the whole gang just bowling with Mordecai's uncle, Uncle Steve. They're having a great time, and they want to play one more game. Specifically, Mordecai wants to play one more game of bowling. And Uncle Steve's like, I don't know, Morty, I'm kind of short on some cash. And Mordecai spots him, and he's going to give him that $5 to play one more game of bowling. And Mordecai just starts hitting it, dancing. He's so excited that everybody's going to play. And he moonwalks and knocks his uncle into, like, the bowling machine that, like, gives you the balls. And he knocks him into there, and Uncle Steve gets sucked into it. And Uncle Steve dies right there.
Whoa. Oh no, my tie! Uncle Steve!
Gets sucked into it, he's dead. They go to the funeral. Mordecai just is heartbroken, just so much grief, so much guilt because he technically killed Uncle Steve. He's trying to get over it. He's having nightmares, and he wakes up from a nightmare and he sees Uncle Steve, and Uncle Steve is just like, Morty, Morty. And Mordecai runs to the bathroom. He just can't believe that this is real. He sees Uncle Steve in his reflection. He just can't believe that this is real. He keeps running throughout the entire house. Uncle Steve just is turning into the pictures. He's everywhere. He gets downstairs. Rigby's watching TV. And Mordecai's like, dude, I keep seeing my uncle. And Rigby's like, I keep seeing your uncle too.
Rigby, I can't stop seeing my dead uncle.
Me either.
Morty!
And yeah, Uncle Steve is literally everywhere, chasing them forever. They run all the way to the graveyard, to Uncle Steve's grave, and Uncle Steve just appears and he's like, Morty! And it just stops right there because Uncle Steve is like, here's that $5 I owe you. Because that was all it was about. He wasn't trying to haunt his poor little nephew. He wasn't trying to ruin his nephew's life. He was just trying to pay him back that $5.
Morty, yeah, I bet you thought I forgot. Well, here you go.
And this is one of the ones that I really like because it's a great blend of what you need in a Terror Tales Park episode. You need a good blend of comedy mixed with a little bit of horror, and I think all the stuff with him just appearing out of nowhere, appearing in the reflection, appearing just before Mordecai, was actually decently scary enough to make me be like, whoa, that's a little bit terrifying. And then it's just funny enough that he just wanted to do all of this stuff just to give him the $5 back, and even just him getting sucked up by the bowling machine was really funny to me just because I'm a horrible human being and find pain funny. But either way, hilarious episode, kind of scary episode, and that's why it's a good tale. At 11 from Terror Tales 6 is Fear Planet, and they are out of gas in the middle of space, so they have to go to the only nearby planet that has a gas station, Fear Planet. And this is a planet where whatever you imagine your biggest fear will come to fruition and actually appear in real life, and they got to try and get all the way to this gas pump while trying to survive their biggest fears. And Benson's biggest fear, he is the one to go first to get that gas, is sharks, and there is no water around them, but the sharks are just floating on land, and I really don't like this because my biggest fear of all time is sharks. I don't care what you say. Go ahead and comment like, oh my god, like, oh, so one person gets bit every year. I don't care. They look scary, so this is already a problem for me. I don't like sharks. They're scary creatures and they eat Benson alive. I don't like it. Not a fan.
See, guys, what did I tell you? They're just figments of my imagination. They can't hurt me, right?
I will say, though, I do like the visual of Benson trying to fill up this gas pump with only his mouth because the sharks ate off both of his arms. I thought that was really funny.
Come on, hurry up, let's go!
But Benson gets eaten, he's dead, and then it's up to Skips to go next. And Skips is just like, if I don't have any fears, they won't appear, so if I keep my mind clear, no fears will appear. He's just singing that to himself, humming it up until Rigby has to be like, hey Skips, what are you afraid of? And Skips is afraid of flying disc freestylers. Yeah, they're just freestyling with frisbees, and he's afraid of them for some reason. I don't know if somebody like on the writing team is actually afraid of people who can use frisbees, or if it was just for the joke. But either way, a bunch of them just jump Skips and just start beating him to death with frisbees. And so next it's up to Mordecai, and Mordecai's just going, he's doing really good, just keeping his eyes closed until Rigby imagines every single fear that has already been discussed, plus amusement park mascots. And Mordecai grabs the gas, tries to get all the way back to the van. He gets all the way there, but the keys have been stolen by a freestyle disc guy.
Go, 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 go! What? Where's the key? Where's the key?
And he's just flinging the keys just like this, just flinging them all around, and they die. And that is Fear Planet for you. And I just found this one really funny. I actually found Skips' entire, like, super big fear freestyle disc freestylist, whatever they are, I don't care. The disc people. I actually thought that was a really funny joke, and that just amplified this one up really high for me. I just found it really funny. And then just, you know, sharks I'm actually scared of. So the first part of this, I was a little bit on edge. And it's just overall a very decent tale. At 10 from Terror Tales 2 is Wallpaper Man. And in this story, it's basically just a I hate you Mordecai and Rigby story that Benson is telling about them because he's very mad at them and wants to paint them as the most stupid people in the entire planet. But either way, the story opens with Mordecai and Rigby have to re-wallpaper the entire house because they were just, you know, drawing and writing stuff on the wallpaper. And Benson just, like, tells them that they have to do it all. And a TV just magically appears in the hallway and is like, do you need somebody to wallpaper your house for free?
Wish we could get someone else to do it.
Do you hate wallpapering, trying to do it yourself, but the instructions just don't make sense?
Did you turn on the TV?
No.
Call Jan, the Wallpaper Man, and I'll wallpaper your entire house for free. They just can't pass up this entire opportunity. Jan is just scouting the house out. He's like, I could do this for you pretty easily. Can you just be free for the afternoon? Just leave the house and just don't do anything? And he wallpapers the entire house, and I actually think he makes it look a little fresh. I mean, a little dark, a little desolate, but all that wallpaper looks pretty gosh dang good if you were to ask me. But the only thing is that Jan is like, taping people. He tapes Pops and is like about to eat him or something.
Pops!
That's you! That's you! That's you!
Stop! What are you doing?
And he kidnaps Benson, and it's up to Pops, Mordecai, and Rigby to chase them down and try and get Benson back. And they're just running through this maze of hallways of wallpaper until they eventually come to this cave. And Jan is actually this giant spider, and that's why he could wallpaper so easily. He's this giant Spider-Man, and Mordecai and Rigby are able to free everybody else, and they get this package that has grenades because Muscle Man ordered a package of replica grenades, and they throw it in the spider's mouth, but they don't realize that they're very close to the spider, so they die with the spider because they both blow up, and boom. That's the entire tale.
Whoa!
Boom!
Eat it, Jan!
Yeah!
Hey, hold on. How far away are we supposed to be before these things go off?
Wait, what?
And I enjoyed this a lot. I thought Jan the Wallpaper Man was a very funny, very interesting villain, and it really did do the job of painting Mordecai and Rigby as very big idiots for just, one hiring the guy who is a spider and then throwing the grenades when they're right next to it and dying and just blowing up the entire house. It was all their fault. And I can't forget the end of this. I mean, I know it's real world stuff. It doesn't really relate to the tale, but the story pisses Rigby off so much that he just basically starts fighting Benson in the car, and they crash the car in the real world and they all die because of this silly little wallpaper story. And yeah, that's why it's number 10. A 9 from Terror Tales 5 is going up, and I might just be a little bit biased to this one because it's a high five ghost story. And how rare is that? How rare is it that high five ghost gets to take that center stage and actually be important? And I actually like this so much. It just makes me want more high five ghost episodes that aren't about him going and finding a lady that has every single other character in it. I can't believe we didn't get a single episode in the entire series that was just all about high five ghost. Like truly, like, yes, the Celia episode is fine, but like this was a very good short that was all about high five ghosts. He's going to see Celia and he's getting in an elevator, and this elevator turns out to be haunted.
I never paid off my student loans! I don't want to burden my family!
By the elevator repairman, and it just takes him on this wild ride about him just getting shaken, and the elevator stops, the elevator goes up and down super fast, slamming him everywhere. He's just going through it, he's going through the ride of his life. And it eventually stops all the way at Celia's floor. He gets off and he's all like, whew, that was a pretty crazy elevator ride, to say the least. I do need to get that elevator repairman's number, though, because he was just such a nice guy. And Celia's all like, the elevator's been broken for 40 years, Fives. What are you talking about? And the elevator repairman is like a zombie corpse and comes out of there and grabs Fives and takes him in the elevator with him. And it's just very good. I feel like the only reason I rank it this high, though, because I mean, not a lot happens in it. The only reason I'm ranking it this high is because it's a high five ghost short tale, and we need more high five ghosts in our lives, and we need a high five ghost episode in the Lost Tapes. I don't care what it is. Give us more high five ghost. Don't make him useless, because I like this short so much just because it was all about. And number 8 from Terror Tales 6 is King-Sized Candy Bars. And we got a Eileen story for you. She's the one telling the story, and it's actually very good. It's a vampire story. They go into this mansion in search of king-sized candy bars on Halloween. They're all just going in there, and then Muscle Man is just chatting, and he's all like, I didn't know this mansion would have mosquitoes. And it's actually a vampire, and it grabs him, bites into him, and pulls him into the shadows, taking him away.
Mosquitoes?
Yeah, like the one that just landed on my neck.
Eileen's like, oh my god, what's going on? And they run away. They're just running. Eileen is smart enough to go into the pantry, though, and for some reason these vampires own some garlic mashed potatoes. Very interesting. They use those as defenses against these vampires that are trying to hunt them, turning into bats, trying to get them at all costs. But unfortunately for Skips here, he didn't get garlic mashed potatoes. He got mashed potatoes with chives, so Skips gets dragged into the darkness.
Mashed potatoes with chives.
getting taken and eaten by the vampires, and they're just running. They're about to get out of there, but Rigby sees the king-sized candy bars, and oh boy, he just can't resist himself a big old piece of peanut butter cup. So he runs in there trying to get those. Eileen has a crossbow trying to defend him the best she can. She's shooting vampires left and right, but they just get overwhelmed. Mordecai gets taken and eaten. Eileen gets taken and eaten. Rigby gets taken and eaten. They all die right there, and then we just cut to them being vampires trying to eat peanut butter cups, but they can't because it tastes really bad, and they decide that they're gonna go and eat the children that are now ringing at the door for those king-size candy bars, and boom, that's the entire story for you. But I feel like the funniest part of this entire story, at least to me, was just the ending where it's not even in the story anymore, where Eileen was just like, and they decided that the moral implications of eating those children weren't very good, so we decided to make a deal with a local blood bank.
And then we all realized the moral implications of what we were doing and decided to work out a deal with the local blood bank.
And I just thought that was the best way to end the vampire story, making a deal with a blood bank. Like, what the heck, Eileen? Eileen is the best. She's amazing. But either way, phenomenal story. It's great. I really like the use of vampires in this. They didn't feel like they were just a annoying joke presence. They actually felt pretty impactful the entire story. And there was a lot of good comedy moments throughout the entire thing, and that's why it's number 8. It was a very good tale. And in number 7, finally cracking into Terror Tales 1 is Death Metal Crash Pit. And this one is just honestly so great. It's finally good that I'm not just judging Devastation Nation as a song. I actually just get to judge the tale itself, which is very exciting. And in this tale, Muscleman and High Five Ghost are just walking through the forest trying to find their RV, and they stumble upon an abandoned RV, and they just think one thing: Crash Pit! And so they get it, they start driving it, they call Scotty to get a bunch of people so they could have this awesome crash in the crash pit. But little do they know that this RV is haunted by 3 ghosts, the ghosts of the band Skull Punch. And they're going to lock them in there, and they're going to crash it in there with Muscleman and High Five Ghosts inside of it. They're going to kill them until Muscleman's all like, well, you can't do that until you, like, play a show, trying to, like, save his skin a little bit.
Cause we always play a show first, and if we don't, everybody's gonna think we're lame. Well, we wouldn't want them to think we're lame, now would we?
Because they'll think you're lame. And he's all like, well, we wouldn't want them to think we're lame, would we? And so they start playing Devastation Nation.
That's a cat, not a rat, or a bat, or a hat, or a pat, or a fat, or a mat. Have you ever seen a goat?
A super hard song, just they're going off about cats, about bats, about rats, and have you ever seen a goat? All this good stuff, great stuff. Nobody likes the song because they all think it's complete and utter ass. Muscleman would rather die than listen to this garbage. And yeah, it just ends with them driving off of it anyway, and boom, there you go. That's the end of it. Muscleman and High Five Ghost die. And yeah, that's the entire tale for you. I think all of Skull Punch is just really funny. Everyone's reaction to Skull Punch is really funny, and that's why it's up so high. I mean, they're not the scariest. It's definitely not the scariest Terror Tale, but it is one of the funniest, that's for sure. And at number 6 from Terror Tale 4 is Scary Movie Night. And in this, Mordecai, Rigby, CJ, and Eileen are all watching a movie, and they think it's ass, they think it's terrible. So Rigby pulls out Triple Threat, a VHS tape that was sewn together by ball lightning, merging 3 different styles of movies all together. One about like a black and white like horror about like a barber who cuts people's hair and is also a murder. One about Smile, which is like a Japanese horror movie about this Japanese schoolgirl who is like a freak monster and eats people. And then the third one is like a stereotypical like werewolf jock horror movie, like, you know, slasher. And yeah, all 3 of those movies are combined together, and they go to play the tape, and a werewolf hand grabs them and sucks them all into the tape. Now they're inside of the tape, inside of this world, and it just plays on all the stereotypes of this movie like super well. It starts off with them just being in the jock, like stereotypical, like, you know, slasher film, and they're all at this house, and the jock and the girl are there, and they're making out, and they just get killed super easily. It just plays on their stupidity really well, which I thought was really funny.
I'm back here in the bushes.
Oh, okay. I don't have a pen on me.
And then they go to the black and white film with the murderer barber, and they meet this guy named Wyatt, and they're all trying to escape this clearly evil insane asylum guy because they're at an insane asylum. Why would you go to an insane asylum for a haircut, Wyatt? What are you doing here? And I just found it really funny that Wyatt all of a sudden is all like, why am I running? I really need a haircut.
And I really need a haircut.
What? You look fine. Let's just go.
No, He might be cool.
I really need one. And he runs all the way back to find this weird barber murderer guy, and he gets his head chopped off. I don't know why he had to be that stupid. It's just horror movies for you, I guess. And then we go to Smile, the Japanese horror film, and it's just this girl trying to be friends with it, and it literally just eats her right then and there, and it's really creepy. I didn't like it very much.
A butterfly floating on the breeze. Do you want to play too?
And they finally get past that movie. They get all the way to the end credits. They can see all the names on the walls. And that's when Ball Lightning appears and is zapping them, chasing them. Ball Lightning is trying to kill them all.
Then we're out of danger, right?
CJ?
Ball lightning!
And they're running away from Ball Lightning, trying their best to escape, and they eventually escape Ball Lightning, but it fuses all of their asses together for some weird reason, and boom, that's the end of Triple Threat. I just thought this one was really funny because it played on stereotypes really well, and I really like just the down-to-earth regular show feel of them just completely and utterly destroying all of these horror movie tropes, because all of them are so stupid, you don't know why any of this is happening, why would they ever choose this stuff, but either way, it works very well for a regular show episode. In Act 5 from Terror Tales 5 is Were Pops, and this one definitely isn't the most scary, but it's one of the funniest out of all of the Terror Tales. I love it so much. In this, everybody got jury duty on the same exact day, all for the same case of this werewolf who has been murdering people and just going around killing everybody, and he's clearly, obviously the killer. I don't even know why they're having this case. What's the point of it? He killed him. He's just literally openly admitting it. And the main thing that I like so much about this Terror Tale is just how nonchalant every single person is, except for Pops, in this entire tale about every single thing that's going on. So Pops is all like, I have to use the bathroom. Oh, please let me go to the bathroom. And so he goes to the bathroom, and the werewolf is all like, can I go to the bathroom as well? And they're just like, of course you can. And they even mention that, like, should we let them go in there both alone together? Does that make any sense? I'm sure that's all right. Let's let the feeble old man watch him.
That frail old man will keep an eye on him.
That was just made me die laughing. And then you physically hear Pops start screaming when the werewolf takes all of his toilet paper and starts literally scratching him, attacking him. And the officer is all like, don't make me come in there. And it's not even like the door is locked or anything. You could just push it open and take a peek, but he's just pounding on the door. Just like, don't make me come in there. I don't want to see what's going on in there, even though I hear screaming, but don't make me come in there.
Hey, don't make me come in there. Sorry, old timer.
And he turns Pops into a werewolf. The werewolf leaves, and then Pops is left to take on this trial, even though he is clearly this giant-headed werewolf that is pink. There shouldn't be any similarities, and they're about to convict him for the murder, and Pops is all like, wait, I didn't do it, I swear. And he explains exactly what happened in the bathroom, and everyone's like, that kind of makes sense. But Skips is all like, let's just make him guilty anyway. I want to see how this one plays out. And yeah, they convict him. He's guilty.
That actually makes a lot of sense. But my gut's telling me to have fun with this one. Let's stick with guilty and see how it pans out.
And Pops decides that he's going to run away, and he gets all the way on an airplane. And lucky for him, this airplane is going to London, and woo, werewolves of London. And boom, that's the entire tale, and I just love it so much. Just the joke of just nobody caring about anything that's going on except for Pops makes it so funny for the entire tale, and that's why I like it so much. It's just so funny. And number 4 from Terror Tales 1 is Creepy Doll. And Mordecai and Rigby are helping Pops clean out his room, and they stumble upon a shoebox. And in this shoebox is Percy, Pop's favorite childhood doll from his childhood that he loves so much. And he's like, oh my gosh, Percy, I'm so excited to see you. And he's like, look guys, it's Percy, look at him. Oh god, jolly good show. Let me show you the things that he says.
I'm gonna draw on your face.
Says, I'm gonna draw on your face. And I don't know why I find that so funny, but it is. I don't know why they decided to make a Chucky-esque doll that really likes to draw on people. It's very interesting, but they're like, Pops, dolls aren't very cool, and that's a really creepy thing to say. So they make Pops get rid of Percy very reasonably. And the next day they find Pops on the playground with marker all over his face.
Pops, what happened?
With Percy, and he's like, I tried to get rid of Percy, but he just wouldn't go away. And yeah, so Percy is there, and Mordecai and Rigby are like, okay, Pops, we'll throw away Percy for you. And they eventually are just back at the house, and they hear like a commotion upstairs, and they're like, what is going on up there? And they go upstairs, and Percy is alive, moving, and he just is throwing a tea set at Pops, and he just has an immense desire to draw all over Pops's face.
Have some tea. What's wrong with you? I don't want your tea. I want to draw on your face.
No matter how much Pops doesn't want it, Percy needs to draw on him. And Mordecai and Rigby and Pops all team up together because Percy is just acting irrational and really creepy, and they try to take out Percy, but Percy is able to knock out Mordecai and Rigby with a shovel and is like, Pops, give me the marker.
Mordecai!
Pops, bring me the marker so I can draw on their faces.
Give me the marker, Pops. And Pops is like, no, it's not okay to play with dolls. And he fights Percy and kicks him into the fire, and Percy dies. And that is the end of Percy. He dies from fire. It is kind of creepy. It's also just really funny. Just the entire drawing thing is just taken to the extreme, and it's just so funny, and I think that's why I like it so much. I honestly like this more than even the Chucky movie itself. And at number 3 from Terror Tales 3 is Pumpkin Smashers, and this is a very simple one, but it is one that I definitely like a lot. It opens up with Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost all smashing a bunch of pumpkins, and they make it look like so much fun. They're just smashing all of these. They use a golf cart to destroy a super big one, and they just wander off in the golf cart, and they eventually stumble upon an entire field of pumpkins, and they're like, well, I don't know if we're really supposed to smash these, but Benson said smash all of them. So they start smashing away, smashing all of these, and they eventually stumble upon this scarecrow couple, and it just says smash as many pumpkins as you want, but please just leave this couple alone. Let them be in love. Let them love their pumpkin-y nests together. Let them just pumpkin it up. But you know, knowing these guys, they're not going to do that, and they murder the pumpkin wife, smashing her in front of the husband. Yes, they smashed the pumpkin dude's wife.
Alright, I got this one.
Smashed her real good. It's very messed up, and this dude reasonably comes to life.
You smash my hot wife!
And starts just turning all of them into pumpkins. It's really menacing, and he's a horrible menace. He's very evil here, but it's very reasonable. They deserved it. They killed his wife, and he just starts chasing them all over, turning each of them into pumpkins. And it's actually very frightening. It's very good, and I enjoyed this one a lot more than every single other Terror Tale. That's why it's at number 3. It's just very good. I like watching them smash all the pumpkins. I like them running away from this guy, and this is probably the most justified villain in the entire Terror Tale series.
Mummy, I want one of these.
Ooh.
Kid, you don't want one of us. There's some choice ones over there.
I'm not right.
And that too from Terror Tales 3 is Previous Owner, and Benson is telling the story here about Jebediah Townhouse, a man that was from 200 years ago that for some reason was accused of being as a witch because he talked like he was from the 1980s.
Witch!
Can't touch me up here, suckers.
He was bombastic, and he would say, like, that's totally bogus. Yeah, I'm wigging out, dude. Like, what are you doing, dog? Like, what are you doing here? Like, he would talk like that. He would dance like that. He was popping and locking. He was doing all this crazy 80s stuff all the way back then, so they vowed that they were going to kill him because he was clearly a witch. Like, why would he talk like that? That was so weird. So he fuses his body with the park house and vows to kill whoever is in the house in 200 years. And who is that going to be? Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghosts, and Pops, who are all having a bet that whoever stays in the house the longest is going to get $100. Sounds great until they're playing a board game and Jebediah Townhouse comes to life and starts trying to kill them all. He kills Muscle Man by shoving him into a grill.
Nobody ever says that anymore. You're a couple decades too late with that, bro.
Oh, yeah? Where? Why you all up in my grill?
He kills Pops. He kills Mordecai and Rigby by eating them. He eats a lot of people here. And
Whoop, there it is.
And it's just really funny the entire time he's just saying really boring 80s stuff, and everybody is just like, well, this is kind of not scary because of your 80s comments. But either way, I think it's pretty funny. And in my villain ranking from a while ago, I ranked Jebediah Townhouse as very low on the list, and I think it's just because I didn't rewatch all of this because he's so funny. Yes, his 80s stuff is a bit out of whack, if you know what I'm saying, dog. It's a little bit bogus, but either way, it's pretty funny, especially with how the characters react to it, and I think that's why I rank it so high. Plus, this is one of the longer Terror Tales, and it's just really good throughout. And then you have the ending where, like, they all die, but Benson is like, oh, it was actually real, and then Jebediah Townhouse actually comes to life and starts dancing as the house. And yeah, Jebediah Townhouse is great, and he's what makes this Terror Tale the number 2 spot.
Jebediah Townhouse, hit you with the roundhouse, huh? Yeah, boy, that's what I'm talking about.
And number 1, the best Terror Tale out of all of the Terror Tales in the park is from Terror Tale 1, and it is In the House. And it is just so good. They knocked it out of the park in the first episode that they ever did of this with this ultimate just peak story. It is so good from a horror aspect and a comedy aspect that just blends so well to craft the perfect story. We open with Mordecai and Rigby trick-or-treating, which is really weird to me. I never really pointed it out yet, but I mean, every single time that they're trick-or-treating, they're just clearly 26 years old. I don't know how they fit in with all of these people. I guess you're never too old, but like, go for it, I guess. And Mordecai has the best costume I've ever seen.
Trick or treat! Trick or treat!
Hey, wait a second. Are those even kids in those costumes?
He is dressing up as a dad. He has 5 kids with balloons and a little tape recorder that says trick or treat, and he is getting 5 times the candy from this until it fails because his tape recorder messes up. But either way, that is extremely smart if you want to get a bunch of candy. Obviously, in the real world, this would not work, but for the show, pop off Mordecai, get all that candy, and Rigby is a burglar, and he's just jumping out of bushes trying to get candy. It's not working out for him.
Unbelievable!
Give me candy, lady.
But Rigby doesn't have a lot of candy at the end of the night, and he wants to get one more piece. So he goes up to this really scary looking house, and they turn their lights off at the second he gets there, and Rigby doesn't get any candy from him, and he's pissed off. He's like, those stupid idiots. God, they just don't want to give out candy. They're just lame. Like, how dare they? And Rigby pulls out some eggs, and he's like, they're gonna pay. I'm gonna make them pay. And Mordecai's like, I don't know, dude, that's probably not a good idea. And he's like, I don't know, are there any cops around? And
Why not? There aren't any cops around.
Hey, what are you doing with those eggs?
where it just gets so funny because a cop just appears the second he says that, and he's like, what are you doing with those eggs? And he's like, just having a snack.
I was just having a snack.
You're having raw eggs for a snack on Halloween?
Yeah.
You're eating eggs as a snack on Halloween, and Rigby just munches on that egg. It's so funny. I laughed so hard at this part. But the cop drives off, Rigby starts egging the house, and the evil wizard comes out and just starts attacking Rigby, saying, listen, you're going to pay for that. Takes some of his hair. And yeah, Rigby's left a little shaken. We go on to the next day. Mordecai and Rigby are just admiring all of their candy. Mordecai's farting it up, making fun of Rigby for being a little bit scared of all of this. And Rigby literally starts turning into a house. And the visual of this is kind of disgusting. Just watching a literal address plate just start appearing on his chest. A doorknob just starts forming.
Rigby?
And they start trying to run and find that wizard to apologize to him. And Mordecai turns around and Rigby is just this block now. I thought that was really funny.
Mordecai! I can't move!
And then Mordecai goes all the way to the house, tries to apologize, and gets jump scared by a cat. And he comes back and Rigby is a full-on house. Yes. The wizard turned him into a house for egging his house, and the wizard is going to come tonight, and everybody is there. Benson, Skips, Pops, High Five Ghosts, and Mordecai are all there to defend Rigby from the wizard. And this is where stuff starts actually getting a little bit frightening. The wizard shows up, he's invisible, starts messing around with Muscle Man. Muscle Man is firing a shotgun in the air everywhere, trying to get this wizard, and he gets dragged into the forest, and Muscle Man comes back at the door, knocks on it, and all of his skin is ripped off.
I told you I was ripped.
Then there's a phone call. High Five Ghost gets killed by getting sucked into the phone. Mordecai gets shoved into a bookshelf, and then Skips gets thrown into a fire in the chimney. Benson gets dragged into a toilet and gets flushed.
What's up, gumball?
Pops gets thrown into a closet and the closet just vanishes. And then Mordecai gets up and is all like, I won't let anything happen to you, Rigby. You're my man. And then Mordecai gets decapitated. And then we get to the peak, the climax. The wizard floats up to talk to Rigby. And he's like, dude, why? I told you were gonna pay. You killed all of my friends for egging your house. Why? Rigby apologizes. And then the wizard just starts egging Rigby, throwing eggs at Rigby and saying, how do you like it? It's so funny. And then it ends with a giant egg being dumped on Rigby. That's the entire story. And it is incredible. There are some parts of it that are actually scary, especially Muscle Man being skinned. That was a little bit traumatizing as a kid. And then the rest of it is just so funny, such weird visuals. Rigby turning into a house was just so funny and just so weird. It is just peak. So much comedy, so much horror mixed into the perfect regular show story, and just one of the best episodes in regular show that it just possibly has. It is my favorite terror tale in the entire series.
Yep, that's it.
And there you have it. That is every single terror tale ranked from worst to best. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. I got lots of good stuff coming on the way, ranking every single regular show fight, ranking every single regular show season, Adventure Time finding the most brutal death. I'm going to be expanding to adult forms of content, not like the sexual kind, like adult shows like Rick and Morty, Smiling Friends, and South Park. That sounded weird. Either way, hope you're enjoying yourself. Movie content, gaming content, all of that good stuff on the way. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.